Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm Crystal Moyer filling in while Bridgett is off this week, taking a little vacay with her kitties. So I'm glad you are joining us. We have a lot to go through today. So, of course, we've got your weather and traffic covered. And we've also received some new surveillance video and body camera video after, the tragic murder of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. Deputies are releasing the first interactions they had with her mother and her mother's boyfriend before her mother's boyfriend was charged in Madeline Soto's death. So New Six's Ezzy Castro is going to talk a little bit about that later. We also have a doctor in the house to talk a little bit about kids and COVID, how they're dealing with meeting with other kids, kind of the effects that may have had on them as far as learning and mental health. The Rolling Stones were in town yesterday, had a big concert, a lot of folks in town for that. So we're going to talk about the impact that they've had as far as a boost in the economy here locally. And we've got a contest. While we're talking about concerts, Janet Jackson is going to be here soon. I'm going to tell you how you can snag some free tickets to her concert. And of course, we're hitting the road. We're going to be out in Kissimmee. So we're going to talk a little bit about exactly where we're going to be and how you can give us some input on what we should cover, what issues are down there, how we can help you get results. So let's get things started with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas filling in for Candace this morning. Good morning.
Hello, prom date. What's
I
going
know.
on?
Okay, so I'll have to show you guys that I took a picture with Jonathan earlier because his tie perfectly matches my jacket. So we had
It's
to take
crazy.
prom
I should probably turn the
pics.
light on. You can probably see. There we go.
I
It's
love
almost like
it.
it's cut from the same fabric, the same roll. It came in. So I don't know. Great minds, I guess.
Well, I know you would have been the best prom date had I
Oh,
known you in
me
high school.
too. I know.
So,
Way back. I know. Too bad.
well, we've got a lot
Anyway,
going on, Jonathan,
yeah.
because tomorrow, take 3 of that Starliner
Oh my
launch
gosh.
attempt. So obviously weather hasn't been an issue for the past 2 launch attempts. So what are we looking like for tomorrow? And are we going to see any rain this week?
Yeah, and I feel like too, it's got to be so hard to launch a rocket. I mean, seriously, the stuff that goes into it, the technical side, of course, and then everything goes out technically, and with all that rocket science stuff, and now you need the clear window to shoot it up, not only here, but of course, all the way up to about Ireland, because
Right. I don't think
if
a lot of people know there's no window for this launch. It's a
right.
simultaneous launch. It has to lift off at this exact time. And if it doesn't, we're done.
Well, that's true because you are trying to shoot it to something. There's something else moving, which makes it more impressive. Of course, that's the International Space Station. So, yeah, if they don't hit it right at that time, just like what happened yesterday, you would think with the problem that happened, they would be able to, reset stuff. But no, you got to hit it right there at that time to do it. And then you got to try again. So the long story short here is the weather is looking great, not only here locally, but also all the way through the flight path up the eastern seaboard and then up and out through about Ireland. So things are looking great weather-wise for them to launch this rocket, hopefully. So hopefully with the stars align, no pun intended, for things to get off because everybody's excited for this, of course.
All right.
Tim,
So let's
go
go
ahead.
on to,
Sorry.
we're going to take a live look, at Port Canaveral?
Port Canaveral. It is looking gorgeous this morning. Lots of sunshine out there. That's with our launch credit union Skycam this morning. We had a nice couple of fishing boats out there. It is a great day to do that. High temperatures today are going to get back into the upper 60s. I wish it was the upper 60s. That's where you are right now. High temperatures are going to climb back into the 90s inland and then mid to upper 80s along the coast. So a very, very nice afternoon. It's going to be on the hotter side, but nonetheless, things are looking pretty good. Clouds and rain forecast for us. This is where we're starting to get ourselves into a little more trouble. Of course, we keep on having these brush fires pop up throughout the afternoon. We really need the rain. This week is not going to give us a ton of opportunity for it. You saw a few little pop-up showers west of Orlando, just like yesterday. Most of us are going to be left out of the rainfall. We'll see a few stray showers again in the afternoon. Now, look at this tomorrow, a slightly better chance for thunderstorms, still mainly to the north and west of I-4. So my friends in Osceola, my friends east of Orlando and eastern Seminole, Volusia Coast, Brevard Coast, we're going to be left out for the most part of this, even if we do get a bigger line here. I think there's an opportunity west of I-4 for the sea breeze to really light up even more than what this is showing. But still, I would not count on that. I think that's doing a pretty good job. Again, it's almost I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing, because we need to start overcoming that drier air in our atmosphere, and that's still going to be around tomorrow. So rain chances again today, super small, 20%, and I think that's even being generous. It does go up to 40% tomorrow and Thursday, and then it starts to back down a little bit as we get into the upcoming weekend. So if you do have weekend plans, it's looking nice, but we can't stress enough, we do need the rain. We have burn bans in play for that, as we are kind of still in the height of Florida's wildfire season. So just keep that in mind. Rain chances do go up to 40% on Monday. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this awesome little graphic here. This is scientifically and meteorologically what we call precipitable water. It's the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. And you see, as we go kind of way into the future, 7 to 10 days. So this is going to be mid to late next week, Friday, June 14th, really starting probably that later Tuesday into Wednesday. The pattern is going to change here. We're going to have a big dip in the jet stream coming out of the U.S. mainland. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to direct a lot of moisture in our atmosphere from the Bay of Campeche, Southern Gulf area, Eastern Pacific, Yucatan Peninsula area, and direct it in this direction. So what I'm telling you is I think rain chances are going to start to go up as we get towards the middle and latter stages of next week, and some decent rain chances, good soaking rain. The one thing we have to watch in this scenario is, okay, now that we're in hurricane season, is the potential for some tropical development. Here's where I'm going to warn you guys, okay? There is going to be a ton of stuff coming out on social media that is going to probably paint a tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico. Is it possible? Yes. But it is going to be super, super tiny, because I wish I had my telestration up here. I don't have the telestration. Let me, you know what? If you haven't, Crystal, do you have a second?
Yeah, of
Do you have a
course.
second?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Go for it.
I'm gonna go back. So we're gonna kind of talk through this. I'm going to add a layer. This is what we call some real-time stuff. So what you can't see right now, I'm just loading up some stuff to get to our interaction, so that I can get my telestrator out. I didn't have my my telestrated show loaded. Okay, so you see that little banner now. So let me turn this back into play mode. This is some real-time analysis here. Okay, anyway, I got to reach my pencil. Right up in here is a dip in the jet stream, okay? That is going to induce a ton of wind shear over here, okay? So if there were to try to be a little area of low pressure to get going, it would likely be torn apart. Now, it might, if something gets going, there's a possibility it could develop out here, but we don't care about it at that point, because that's going to just go into no man's land.
Right.
But nonetheless, all of that moisture right there, now this is mid to late next week, I think is coming in this direction. So at the very least, and there's still some uncertainty, Crystal, as to where the heaviest rain is going to fall, whether it's directed more towards North Florida, Central, or South. I think at this point it's more likely to be South Central because of that dip in the jet stream. But nonetheless, this is the best, I think, widespread shot for rain that we have seen in quite some time, coming our way, I think, mid to late next week. So that was a very long story to get to the end, but I think we're going to have some positive rainfall chances scattered this week, low this week, but next week, mid to late portion of next week. That's what I think we start to increase things a little bit.
Jonathan, I never mind when you explained everything, because especially watching Weatherwise and, your YouTube channel, you really get into it, and I understand exactly what you're talking about. So looking forward to some of that rain. My grass is very crunchy, and if you have animals at home, when you don't get rain and the only thing watering your grass are your pets, it's not good.
It's not. And I know if you can afford to water it, and I know some communities won't allow for a lot of watering, of course, because it's been so dry. And if you open up the water bill, it's not very happy. I haven't watered in a long time, and it's fried. It's fried.
Get on it, Jonathan. Get on it. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you for Weatherwise with Jonathan Kegas coming up at 8 o'clock. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Crystal.
All right, so now we are transitioning from weather to traffic. Things have been looking pretty good on the roadways all morning long, but, I can't jinx. I'm going to knock on wood here. So bringing in Trooper Steve from Results One. What do you have behind you today?
Oh, Sheriff Lopez left that in my truck yesterday.
Some signage.
Look at Yeah, he's getting some free branding, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office this morning. It's these signs that they do hand out. So for those that don't know, head over to clickorlando.com. We did a stream yesterday with Sheriff Marcos Lopez from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office. They have signs. They're very proactive, and they hand out these. They say, slow down. Drive like your kids live here, and some other logos on there. And then on the reverse side, it's written in Spanish. So I kind of like that, but no, my mom wanted one because she lives down in Kissimmee, so he gave me one from his truck, and I didn't take it out of my truck yet. So you're getting a little bit of signage, and it works. Why
You
not,
better
right?
deliver that to Mama soon, okay?
Well, I am going down to Kissimmee today again. Part of because I am not here the rest of the week when we start to kick off. WKMG hits the road in Kissimmee. I'll be doing TSOP, Trooper Steve on patrol down there again today with Chief Betty Holland. She is the police chief of the men and women of the Kissimmee Police Department. Very large department, and it's grown over the years. Rewind 20 years ago, Kissimmee was Cowtown. Now it's attached to Disney. It is a tourist destination.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is huge. So we'll have her jump in. She doesn't do many interviews, so I'm really, really excited to have her in, and that's going to be at 10:30 today.
Take it easy on her, Steve. Take it easy on her.
Crystal, listen. Everyone, even Sheriff Lopez yesterday. We know our sheriffs locally. Most of them are not a loss of words. He was a little nervous. He even said, he goes, man, I don't know. I don't know if it's the cameras. I don't know if it's me.
It could be intimidating if you've ever been inside Results One, and I've done a couple of things in there. It's like cameras in every direction. Steve's controlling them, so you want to sit right.
You just never know. Like his people were like, what questions are you going to ask? And I was like, don't ask me what questions.
We don't tell you what we're asking ahead of time.
And most of the time, we don't even know. It's just going to happen. So let's take a look at the roads real quick. If you missed today's morning forecast, listen to me. We did talk about whether or not your dog was allowed in the car. No, that is not the right one. That's going to be for next week. So make sure you tune in for that one.
Little preview.
Oh, a little preview. All right, guys, listen. I-4 in Anderson. It is absolutely stunning outside. My truck's reading 76 degrees currently. That you're looking at 408 and I-4. There's not a delay pretty much anywhere in our metro area. We're looking really smooth. Even on 408 this morning, slight delay by Roslyn if you're headed towards the metro area, but nothing too crazy. Your drive times, beautiful. 36 minutes Champions to downtown. Someone might be going 36 minutes. If school was in session, y'all, it's 42 minutes. So I'm going to take 36 minutes. Right now, the rest of us, nice and smooth. Alafaya, no school over at UCF. So 434, nice and clear. And if you're going maybe cruising over Lake Jessup, 417, no delays right now in your north and central zones of Seminole County. Opposite direction is always better. Westbound, if you're leaving our area, John Young headed towards Tampa this morning or Lakeland. Legoland, maybe a good day to go outside. 27 minutes if you're headed westbound from that area. And then Maitland, you're clear as well. Altamont, Fern Park, Castleberry, no problems there. And then even Lake Mary and Sanford, nice and clear. We'll do one more for us to check out this zone of 1792, running smooth. So like you said, Crystal, we are actually running really nice this morning. And it's just to show you really never know. People can pick and choose how their day is going to go when it comes to traffic. So
up to you.
We're having a good. It is. It's not what traffic can do for you. It's what you
can do for traffic. And let me just say, I love your tie this morning, Steve. Bravo.
Oh,
it looks really nice. You always look sharp, but show it off.
Oh, we're even doing a full zoom here. Hold on, I'll give you the full shabam. even though she wanted Jonathan Kagas to take her to prom this morning.
Look, it was nice to have two very handsome men fighting over me this morning because you both matched me. So it made me feel good. Yeah, I love you both. I would take you both to prom.
I will give Jonathan the credit. You guys literally have the same pixels of colors on today. It was insane. So, all right, you got stuff to get to, girl. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, Trooper Steve. Be safe out there, okay? We'll see you for Trooper Steve on patrol. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So, switching gears here to a more serious story. It's been a little more than 3 months since deputies discovered the body of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. She had been murdered, and we're now getting a first look at some of the body camera video that Orange County deputies released with their first interactions with Madeline Soto's mother and her mother's boyfriend, who would later be charged in her murder. So News 6's Ezzy Castro got to look through some of that video and shows us what those interactions were like.
What you're looking at is body camera video from Orange County deputies the night 13-year-old Madeline Soto was reported missing. In the video, you can see Madeline's mother, Jen, and her boyfriend, Stephen Stearns, the man charged with Madeline's murder.
What was she last seen wearing?
Green hoodie,
Green hoodie,
white Crocs,
white Crocs.
either blue or black pants.
I think black shorts.
Soto explained to the deputy how she went to pick up the teen at Hunters Creek Middle and wasn't there, and that she had been marked absent for the day.
And when was the last time you seen her? Do you know around what time?
Around 8:30, 8:40 when we dropped her off. She was walking in that direction. She was rifling through her backpack, just looking for something. I thought maybe she was just looking for headphones.
Soto also told the deputy Stearns dropped Madeline off near the school because she was embarrassed by the condition of his car. Though detectives later realized that story was not true and believe Madeline was already dead when deputies questioned Stearns.
That was News 6's Ezzy Castro. We did post some of that body camera video, and you could see a whole timeline of this case involving the death of Madeline Soto on clickorlando.com. Well, some major changes could be coming to some student athletes, and we're talking about middle and high schoolers because a vote is set today on whether student athletes as young as 14 or 15 years old could benefit and profit off of their image and likeness in sports while they're in school, kind of like, pro athletes and college athletes. News 6's Mark Lehman explains how that decision could have some major implications.
After months of discussions, the Florida Athletic Association is set to vote on a policy that would allow high school athletes to be paid for their name, image, and likeness.
Everybody that I've talked to believes that they're going to pass this.
News 6's Treasurer Roberts spoke with wealth advisor Dan LaForest. He says the board's bylaws do list penalties when it comes to NIL deals. LaForest suggesting any interested players and parents create a plan and ensure any legal document is reviewed by an attorney.
I think the biggest concerns they need to be aware of are understanding what the rules are with the FHSA, because they don't want to get caught up in a situation where it could cost their child the ability to participate.
With news of today's vote, we caught up with high school basketball player Dakara Murthy. Her mother is hoping to see the NIL measure approved, saying Dakara spends several hours every day perfecting her game.
I'm all for the NIL deal because I see the sacrifices these young ladies are making.
That was News 6's Mark Lehman. What do you think about this NIL deal involving high school student athletes? Let us know. You can head to clickorlando.com, comment on the bottom of the article. It's really interesting here to see, whether or not they should be able to, get some branding deals, make some money while they are playing high school athletics. Let us know what you think. All right, so it is 2024, and we are nearing, 4 years since the start of COVID. And even now, we're seeing the effects that it's had on kids, whether it be lack of social experience, suffering from illness. So I want to bring in this morning Dr. Gloria Chang. She is a pediatric psychologist with Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Morning, Ms. Moyer. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, you've been working with kids for many years. And what have you noticed within the past few years as far as dealing with kids and, what they have dealt with as far as mental health after COVID?
So yes, I've been a psychologist for about 16 or 17 years now. So as y'all know, I am the chief of pediatric neuropsychology at Arnold Palmer, which is part of Orlando Health. And I'm with the Leon Pediatric Neuroscience Center of Excellence. The majority of the patients being referred to my department are for the usual standard learning issues, a lot of behavior issues, and definitely a lot of depression, anxiety. And what I've noticed really intensifying in the last couple of years is that the common denominator seems to be COVID-19 during the pandemic. Most of us know that kids' learning have been affected, right? They were out of school. Some kids were out for a couple of years, depending on the guidelines of the school system they were coming out at. And when the kids were at home getting that homeschooling, the virtual learning, a lot of them were not getting the services that they need. What I'm finding is that the kids are coming in for me to see me because they're concerns of ADHD or learning issues. What happens is this lack of appropriate instruction during that time, and kids are being misdiagnosed with ADHD or other sorts of issues. And really, what it is, it's I call it remedial instruction. They didn't receive the proper academic learning. So that sort of intervention is different. And then, as most people realize, a lot of our kids are depressed and anxious, missing out on friendships, missing out social interactions. But one thing that I'm really finding lately is that a lot of kids I would diagnose with PTSD-like symptoms.
Oh, wow.
Being in the house. Oh, yes, ma'am. And PTSD in children kind of manifests differently. We all know what it looks like in adults, where they have flashbacks, nightmares. Our poor war veterans, we hear that car backfiring, they think it's a gunshot. But that's what's triggering our kids, hearing a person being sick, having mom come home with a cold, or even the loss of people. They remember family members or other friends that they lost during COVID. And remember, we were all shut down, so the kids weren't getting services back then. And now everybody thinks we're back in life, and they're struggling. They're having headaches. They're going to the hospital with seizure-like symptoms or severe headaches or abdominal pain. And there's sometimes no medical etiology, right? And what it is, it's the trauma that they've experienced from COVID-19, the
Wow.
after effects.
That's serious. And when you're a parent and you're with your child every day, what are some of the signs that parents need to look out for when they know, okay, I need to take them to see somebody, something's not right here?
Oh, absolutely. And it's going to kind of vary by age range. So all the kids were affected, and everybody was affected depending on the developmental level. Our babies and toddlers, right? We think they didn't remember or they don't understand. But what happens is that lack of social interaction, they're not learning. A lot of them have speech delays. A lot of our kids, right? Everybody's looking for concerns that they have autism. And it turns out that, the children are actually okay. They're just have social and language delays because they weren't out there interacting, or even as we were all transitioning back, parents were being appropriately cautious. So as far as what we look for, I call them the regulatory behaviors. When do we know your child's functioning has been significantly impacted? When you see changes in your child's sleep, in your child's appetite, or for our younger children in toileting. So that's usually between 1 and 4 years old. As our kids get older, what you want to watch out for is a lot of separation anxiety. If your child won't leave you or has a hard time going to school. I know right now it's during the summer, but as we transition back to school, your kids, they have a more significant time separating from you. Our middle childhood kids, look for headaches, stomach aches. Anytime you have a physiological symptom, and that's a lot of the aches and pains that you've seen a pediatrician for, they say everything seems to be okay, they're not finding anything, then look towards mental health. And definitely our teenagers who are, you would think they would be able to verbalize, but a lot of them think, oh, wait, we're supposed to be back to normal. And so if they're shut down, they're withdrawn, they stop interacting with their friends. A lot of it's the classic depression signs that we're told to look out for, but now it's really amplified by the impact of COVID-19.
Yeah, and Dr. Chang, obviously during the pandemic, you and your team had to have made some changes. I mean, you're not only dealing with a pandemic and people being sick, but you're dealing with the effects of COVID-19 in these kids and these teens. What did you and your team have to do to kind of recognize some of these signs as an effect of COVID-19, and how you were going to start trying to treat and deal with this to help children, developmentally and mental health issues?
So really, we are changing the way we question. We are having our fellow medical specialists as well, because obviously the kids they first go and see the pediatrician, or with the headaches, they go see a neurologist. So we're really trying to work, all of us here at Arnold Palmer are trying to incorporate those questions about COVID-19. When the kids usually come in for learning issues, we want to make sure, hey, what was the time frame? My first question now for learning is, what grade were they in during the pandemic? Because that all has implications. And then obviously now we are taking a closer look at the diagnosis of PTSD. That used to be a diagnosis we don't see often in young children, unless, obviously if they've gone through a war situation. Here in the United States, a little bit less much. But now we're trying to recognize, when we have physical changes, physical symptoms, as well as mental health symptoms, instead of blaming it on ADHD or depression, we're now looking at the effects of PTSD. If we have 30 seconds, I want to give you a very, very, very quick case scenario and tells you how much COVID impacted even our little ones. So it was a 4-year-old little girl came to me, major problem behaviors, and one of the most scary behaviors the child was doing was every time she got upset, she would reach for her parents' face and what they call clawing down their face, right? And they even scratched mom one time. And I was asking the questions, and really before I realized how much of COVID-19, this was a couple of years ago, and I was asking about, what's triggering the behaviors. And I asked the little girl, she was 4.5 when she came and saw me, and I said, "Are you having nightmares? Are you having bad dreams?" And she says, and she nods her head, and then just looked really worried. And I said, "What are your dreams about?" And again, limited language skills. She's a 4-year-old, and she goes, "The eyes, the eyes." So I think people know where I'm going with this. I went outside to my office. I went and grabbed a mask. She was happily playing with me. I had crayons, I had toys. I came back in wearing a mask. And she screamed, "Monster, monster," the eyes. Because that's all she saw, right?
Yeah.
During the pandemic. She actually was hospitalized because she had a medical issue. And every time people, the doctors, the nurses, her parents looked over her crib, what did she see?
She saw the mask. Wow.
So we explained to her in obviously age-appropriate terms, that was a mask, those are people to help you, and then obviously just drawing more pictures and all that. And 2 years of clawing at the parents' faces and other people gone. So COVID-19, we have that without. So, and then that's what a lot of kids are being told. Think about it.
Yeah.
Everybody mass, pandemic ends, right? It was not an arbitrary date, but it was declared, and then everybody goes back to normal. But the kids, especially the younger ones, grew up.
Yeah, that's super important. And Dr. Chang, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we will literally go right into weather-wise coming up. So we really appreciate you joining us here for Breakfast with Bridgett. We could talk about this forever. Very important to make sure you pay attention to your kids and the effects of COVID-19 with the Winnie Palmer Hospital for Children. Thank you so much, Dr. Chang. We'll definitely connect back with you in the future.